Merry Christmas Eve. You get me in my special holiday sweater that comes out once a year and only once a year. You can't really get the full effect of this sweater because I'm sitting down, so I'm going to try and show you the bottom of this sweater with these little snowmen guys. Yeah, and it's a vest. It's my sweater vest that has even a little snowflake zipper charm. So you get it today. I had filmed another video for this week and then realized that it was going to publish on Christmas Eve. And I thought maybe I should say some things about Christmas. I am a tradition sort of girl. I think you probably should know that about me if you watch my videos. But once something becomes tradition, for me, it's something that I just want to stick with. For example, parents would set a time that we could get up in the morning on Christmas morning. And then my sister and I, who shared a room for most of our childhood, we would set our alarm and then we'd run into my parents' room, jump on the bed and wake them up. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, please tell me this is not still a tradition. But it is. And yes, I am 30 years old. And yes, my sister is married now. And yes, her husband is part of this tradition now. And while it's slightly ridiculous, and by slightly a lot ridiculous, I look forward to. And it's silly, but for me it represents family. And it represents the beginning of this like joyous, fun morning where we just get to be together. But I know that this can be a really hard time of year for some people. It's a time of year where we're expected to be family with people who we may not always be family with. We're expected to be holly and jolly and merry and joyful. And we don't always feel those things. Important that we take time to remember, as cheesy and cliche as it is, why we celebrate this time of year. And I think it's important for a number of reasons. One is that it is celebrating the birth of Christ. And that's important. Just like we celebrate our birthdays, it's important to celebrate Jesus' birthday. Because without Jesus' birth, we don't have Jesus' death and resurrection, and then we don't have anything. But it's really easy to get caught up in what this is supposed to look like. And while there are lots of people out there find us to let go and just allow this time to be what it is, I just wanted to add my 2 cents in there to not get so caught up in making things perfect. As an Enneagram 1, which I will talk a lot more about beginning in 2020, I need things to be right. I need things to be perfect. I stress out when things are not going what I deem to be the right way. And I think that's why, honestly, this time of year stresses me out, if I'm being really honest. And really what stresses me out most, which for better or worse, this is my story. Presents stress me out. It feels to me like presents are this time to show how well you know somebody else, right? Like when somebody opens a present and they are just, it's like the perfect thing for them. And they get excited and everybody else gets excited and it's like, oh, you know me so well. Well, for somebody who stresses out about making sure things are right, feeling like you have to get the perfect gift for somebody is stressful. And a couple years ago, I remember having this like huge meltdown around Christmas and I was like, forget it! I don't want presents! I don't want to give presents! I don't want to get presents! I'm over presents. I reeled that back a little bit. But until I learned how to not get so caught up in getting the perfect present. Now, if you're somebody who likes to look for that perfect present, more power to you. Like, this is not saying that you can't do that. But I was so caught up in finding the right thing for somebody, more anxiety about what was their response gonna be when they opened it. Because what if I got the wrong thing? I mean, I would get lists and stuff like that, but what if I picked the wrong thing? Or what if I went out on my own, I branched out, I did not get something on the list? How were they gonna react? And then was that gonna be a reflection on me and our relationship? And what I've learned over time is to just let that go. Like, I can't get so caught up in my own head and my own anxieties and let that steal the season from me. And again, things don't always go off perfectly. Here's an example. One of our traditions is that I don't know if always, in my mind it was always, but we would often watch Charlie Brown Christmas on Christmas Eve. So flash forward to, I don't know, 7 years ago. I'm working at a school in Louisiana. I'm working on Christmas Eve. And I decide, this is gonna be perfect. I'm gonna bring the kids in on my tradition, right? Like, we're all gonna be excited about this. It's like 20 minutes. It's Charlie Brown. How can you not love Charlie Brown? So I tell the kids, all right, it's Christmas Eve. I know, and I was real with them. Like, I know that you don't love that you're here on Christmas Eve and you're not with your family, and that stinks. And let's make this as enjoyable of a day as possible. So I get everything all set up. I get some cute little blankets and pop some popcorn, and I'm excited, right? Like, this is my tradition. We're getting into this. You know how many kids joined me in the living room for Charlie Brown Christmas? That's right. Big fat 0. They would rather hang out in their room. Don't know what they were doing in their room. Probably sleeping, maybe reading. They didn't have computers or phones or anything like that. So I'm not exactly sure, but I felt so deflated. I had ramped up this whole day around Charlie Brown Christmas, and not a stinking one of those kids came out to watch the show with me. So I sat there on this couch in school in Louisiana watching Charlie Brown Christmas all by myself. Ourselves that it's okay. Take each moment for what it is. The highs, the lows, the everything in between. Before I worked at the school in Louisiana, I worked at a residential treatment center for foster kids with severe behavior issues. And one of the things that we did for those kids on Christmas Eve was every kid got a new pair of pajamas and a new stuffy. That's what we called their stuffed animals. Because I was in the little kid cottage, so we had kids 5 to about 10 years old. We had them all go upstairs. The whole cottage was decorated for Christmas. We had Christmas lights, we had a Christmas movie to play, and we set these little presents on everybody's chair. And watching them come down to what had become family for them. Some of them had families that came and visited, but our little cottage, Cottage A, was family. For just a moment, I got to be part of bringing joy to somebody else. And really, that's a big part of what this season is. It's about celebrating the life of Jesus. And the life of Jesus was about bringing hope to people. So this is kind of a random video, it feels like. So I don't necessarily have this this is the lesson I learned from this adventure. Really, it's about being present, being in the moment, experiencing the season for what it is. And that means if it's a challenging season, let that be okay. Still joy and hope even in sadness and sorrow. Joy and hope in chaos. And there's joy and hope in fun So enjoy your Christmas season, whatever it looks like, whatever it brings you. Thank you for adventuring with me. Thank you for allowing me to speak into you. And have a Merry Christmas.